for the iRacing Le Mans series. This time we are going to Daytona Road, on board on the BMW M8 GTE driven by Juan L. Lopez. Let's see the full lap. And that was a 1:40.512. Let's check in the VRS analyzer. Here we are in the main straight. Remember, before your hot lap, try to attack the last corner. We need to tackle that bus stop chicane as fast as possible to get all the speed needed to start the lap. So as soon as we cross the finish line, we put the car more or less really close to this pole in the yellow signal. So there you go, we up the wall, and then now we are about to turn in left to get the car pointed into this bend of the grass. So as soon as we get here, we start our turning in, and as soon as we get into the white line, we start our braking. So we don't see the second apex, this is the first one, I'd say. So crossing it and then open the line wide into the right side of the track, really close to the white line, and then turning in more for the second apex. So braking there, more or less 50% of braking, down the gears, and just first apex. We see the second one now, and we see the white line now. We need to be really close to the white line here to get a better arc for the apex. So still opening it, still braking, down the gears into second, and now we start our turning in more aggressively, bleeding off the brakes to the trail braking just before the tarmac change here. So turning in, trail brake, trail brake, trail brake into the apex, which is the tire wall here, and start accelerating at this point, but maintain turning left. So smoothly going full throttle till now, and open the line wide as we go full throttle into the curve on the right and pass this apex as straight as possible. Let's watch it in the chase view, approaching into the first corner. As soon as we get into the white line with the car pointed into the bend here, we start our braking. There you go, 60%, 50% braking, and as soon as we pass the first apex, we start opening the line wide, just close to the white line here, still down the gears, braking into second gear, and now as soon as we get into the tarmac change, we bleed off the braking, turning in more into the second apex, try braking to it, try braking to it, try braking to it, and just as we cross it, we start accelerating here, still turning left, and full throttle now, opening the line wide into the curve on the right, and we maintain this apex as straight as possible. So there, this one, and then come back to the left side of the track to approach the turn 3. So here, as we get the car into the left side of the track, as soon as we get into the left and way before the 100-meter mark, we will start our braking there, down the gears into first, slightly turning now, and it's a late apex, so now bleeding off the brakes, first gear, and trail brake a lot, rotating the car, and in the middle of the corner we start accelerating just still closing the line and just apex full throttle now, opening the line wide into just close to the curve on the left and cross the white line into the curve on the left as well. So up the gears now and put the car on the right side of the track to approach to the next corner. So try to avoid the curve before to get better traction. So going into turn 4, we don't see the apex yet, but we will start turning in at full throttle as we cross here the 100-meter mark and looking for the curve here at full throttle with 2 tires and maintain the car on the left side of the track. Don't open the line wide to have a better arc for the hairpin we are facing now. So as soon as we get into the cones, we will start our braking maneuver. Braking here 60 something% peak, down the gears into second. Now start our turning in more aggressively after the braking, and as soon as we get really close to the curve we put first gear and just bleed off the brakes and turning in more as suggested by the graph. So throttle brake into the curve and overheat and start accelerating at this point, trying to rotate the car and full throttle as we land from the curve, but still turning in right because it still closes. And now second gear and open the line wide as the curve ends on the right, so we can get all the traction and not having any wheel spin problems or oversteer. So curve and immediately going into the right side of the track. So let's watch it again into the chase view. So as we get into the cones, we start braking there, 60% maximum of braking, down the gears into second and slightly turning right and first gear now as we are close to the curve, and now start our turning in more aggressively into the curve without any problem. But now be careful here because there is a lot of rotation if you got too aggressive. So going smoothly into full throttle as we land and keep turning right to get the line tight, second gear, and now as the curve ends we start opening the line wide into the curve on the left to have the better traction. So up the gears now and put the car on the right side of the track to approach to turn 6. So we have these cones and this tarmac here, so that marks our braking point and the reference. So we will start braking there, down the gears into second, and as soon as we get off the curve on the right we will start our turning in, looking for the curve here on the apex, throttle brake into it, 70% braking there, and just throttle brake into the curve with 2 tires already accelerating as we hit it, and really smooth acceleration here. The track is bumpy and you will get the wheel spin of the traction control kicking in, so we'll lose traction. It's really important exit here. We need a really good exit because we have a long straight before the bus stop chicane. So there you go, smoothly going full throttle over the bumps, and here not using all the right side of the track because we want to do less meters over this arc. So full throttle and still closing the line into this white line here and just into the oval section, little bit up to then go down little bit slowly to get more top speed. So let's watch it in the cockpit. As soon as we get into this white line we will start braking there, looking for the apex here and for this curve ends. So 70% more or less braking, down the gears into second, and now we start our turning in as we see here, and our bleeding off the brakes as we see on the input of the brakes. So throttle braking into it and just over it quite aggressively, but be careful on the acceleration because this part is really bumpy, really easy to have a mistake on traction. So as we land from it we smoothly going into full throttle because there is really bumpy section now, and full throttle as we are exiting, not using all the right side of the track and still turning left to get close to the white line here and into the oval. So there you go, and then we are going to the low side of the track, really close to the apron to do less meters and just get the maximum top speed desired. So there you go, up the gears, and as soon as the oval turn ends we go to the right side of the track to approach to the bus stop chicane. So here, looking for these brake markers, we will start braking more or less as we pass this pole before the one here. So really close to the right side of the track, and after passing the pole before the one here, we will start braking and slightly turning left, down into fourth, and now as we get done with the downshifting, we will turn in a little bit more into the apex, looking for being quite aggressively into the curve, and throttle brake into it in fourth gear, over it, and as soon as we get into it, we just dab a little bit of the throttle, find it there, and as soon as we land from it, we start braking again, 30% braking, and down into third. So change direction now, looking for the second apex. So as we change direction, we release the brake pressure to avoid any oversteer on entry. So throttle brake into the apex, over it quite aggressively with 2 tires over the grass, avoiding the 1X, be careful with it. So throttle braking into the tarmac, and now at this point we start accelerating but still turning right, looking for the third apex. So be careful going into full throttle, but get into it after you get off this curve. So over it quite aggressively as well, controlling the throttle, and as we land from it, we go full throttle and change direction again into the last apex and over it quite aggressively as well, but be careful with this one because you can get an off track penalty and a slowdown penalty for this full throttle section and will harm your laps. So let's watch it again into the cockpit view. As soon as they pass the pole before the one, we will start braking there, down into fourth, slightly turning, and now turning in more, throttle braking into the curve quite aggressively, not touching the grass here this time. And now as we get the car straight, we brake a little bit more again. First braking is almost 60%, second braking 30%, and down into third. So change direction and quite aggressively as well into the curve, still throttle braking, and as we get into the middle of the corner, we start accelerating smoothly for the third apex, almost full throttle, 90% of the throttle, and as we land from the third apex quite aggressively as well, be careful with the 1X penalty, change direction into the left and go straight into the curve here, be careful with the grass, to the slowdown penalty. So there you go, that's the perfect line, and just maintain the car as low as possible for the last oval corner to do less meters and get all the speed we wanted. So be careful as well for the final laps. A tip is maybe to go in behind someone for the bus stop chicane, so you can attack here on the draft for the finish line, so you can get a little bit up and then use all the inertia and go down with the draft to attack for the last corner and the finish line. So that's a full throttle section, nothing to see here but your strategy with the draft and your rivals, so be careful with it and good luck. And that's a lap around Daytona with the BMW M8 GTE. I hope you enjoyed it and see you next week. Thanks for watching.